And we're live. There we are.
Oh yeah, now we are. We're
Yeah,
live.
we're live.
We
Hello,
weren't live
everyone.
before. Now
No,
we are.
we were
Hi.
corpses. Corey,
What
what's
show
the
are we
show?
doing? We are here to do the Digipod Pokécast show. I'm
Yeah.
Cory Barringer. That's
I.
Milk Surface. We do this show together. It's
Yeah.
it's a it's a fun time where we talk about Mons.
Yeah. We're. Oh, what was that intro line we had?
Oh yes.
Old
Was that
monsters
going
and
to
new
be?
friends. Something.
I think that kind of works. I forget what we decided at the end of the last show because I was like, it feels it feels more like a something.
Yeah.
Was it that? Was it maybe like it feels more like the opening to the show rather than the tag at the end of the show?
Yeah, we decided that was the slogan Jesse came up with was the opening instead of the end. So
Oh,
yeah,
gotcha.
yeah. We still
Let's just
don't
have
have
a
an
clean.
end.
I want to hear it from the top. Then let's just as if we didn't have any of this rigmarole at the
Oh,
top.
all
What
right.
would a perfect beginning to the Digipod Pokécast show sound and look like?
I'll do what I do for an infomercial. I'll do the mask. Hi, you're watching the Digipod Pokécast show, where we talk about old monsters to make new friends. I'm Milk Surface.
And I'm Cory Barringer, and I think that this is going to work.
Yeah.
I think that's a good way to start a show, and we'll tweak it here and there as we go. But yeah, no, that works. That works for me. Does it work for you at home? Let us know in the
Yeah.
chat. That's something that I want to encourage more, like call to action.
Yes.
That sort of thing. That's a phrase I've recently learned.
Call to action.
And will try my best not to just shoehorn it into every conversation. But let's be real, probably gonna happen. Do
That's
you
your
do
call
that?
to
Do you
action.
find yourself? My call to action, here we go, is for everyone to not only comment in the Twitch stream and on the YouTube channels and all that, but I want you to chime in, not specifically with Digimon and Pokemon related tidbits, but my call to action right now, to the audience as well as Milk, I want to know, has there been a phrase that you have acknowledged has entered your vernacular and your everyday speech in a way that you would kind of like it to cool off a little? Just like, here's an example. This was years ago, um, probably about 20, and it occurred to me that I had started using the phrase "no two ways about it" way too much. Like, it found
More
its
than two
way into
times.
damn near F. There was no two ways about it. I was saying it too often, is what it came down to, and I find it to be a source of shame, but as well as just a fact of our strange brains, the way we collect things and then spit them back out. Like, and when our brains decide to do that, has that been something that you've experienced much?
So much.
Yeah.
I'm diagnosed with ADHD, and a typical symptom of that is like holding on to mantras, and so like sometimes turn of phrases will like enter that state.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's almost just like a dry music lyric. The fun's still there. You're just not singing it.
That
I,
is a great way to put it. Yes, that is. Yeah, that's what that is. Because it's almost like you're on autopilot
mhm.
when that phrase comes back in. I know that it's a controversial thing as far as self-diagnosis, but I probably have ADHD. My last therapist was saying that, you probably do. You have a lot of symptoms. We'll run like the actual diagnostic. We didn't end up doing that because I fired her, but I probably have it because I feel like it's it's so apparent in so many of my other tics that I've often chalked up to just my obsessive compulsive disorder. As far as like my hyper focus on things,
Yeah.
like even stuff I love, or I mean, I guess that's common for a lot of folks if you kind of really get into something, but like,
You'd be
I don't know,
surprised
I've
how
never.
not they might be.
I guess so,
Some
because
people
I
don't
find
get
it
into
so.
things.
They don't, and I find it so strange when someone casually enjoys a band. how do you do that? Like, how are you just okay with something
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
not like, I need to know everything about this band, if they did something to move me. If they don't
Yeah.
move me, then I'm like, all right, that's fine. But I will never consider myself like, oh, I'm a casual fan of that band. No, you are or you aren't. I don't know. That has nothing to do with Digimon.
But it has everything to do with music.
It does. Did I accidentally bring us back around to the
You
topic?
did.
Love it.
So part of this show's core premise is this is a way for Cory and I to start becoming friends through the magic of stab comedy theater, and we're friends. We talk about things off the show, and one of those things being music a lot lately. So I was like, hey, what if that's the episode? What if we content create what was just our personal life?
Yes.
But yeah, so Digimon and Pokemon both have some pretty notable music things. I'd say, and like, anyone who has any tangential knowledge of Digimon probably knows the most prolific thing. I'd say is the soundtrack for the movie.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that that's a very fair assessment. If you have like a very surface level understanding of pop culture of late 90s, early 2000s, you're probably going to know about, even if not that movie, like that soundtrack, because it was an incredibly popular soundtrack. Like, I think it went platinum. It might have. I don't know if that's true, but like, it's very, like, it sold very well, basically. Might have been gold. I don't know. But yeah, like, I think that most people know that. But what's so striking about it is that it's such a snapshot of the time that it was put out. Like, that track list is something to behold.
Yeah, it's not even 100% streamable anymore. If you go to most platforms, Spotify even shows all the tracks. You can't listen to them all, though. But there are websites out there, and I'll leave it at that. I have the wiki for the soundtrack, which is very barren, I'll say. It doesn't give me information like if it went gold or platinum. It does say it cost $10, though, so that's how much it was. There are 17 tracks, which include 5 hidden tracks. I'm wondering if that means like they were during the credits or what?
Yeah, I don't know, because I've never like popped the soundtrack in and listened to it. So I wonder if the hidden tracks might even just be like dialogue leading into another track, maybe.
Well, they have the same artist as some of the songs, so I think they're but musicians also talk, so who knows?
But I was gonna also theorize that it might have been. I wonder if this CD had like the bonus track that they would do back in those days of CDs, when you, like, before people were doing a lot on the internet, as far as, or not even internet, but just downloading your CD onto your computer and seeing how much longer you had left in that track. It kind of killed the magic of,
it did.
of the secret track. But there really was that time when a lot of albums did the secret track, where it's, the last track, it's the song is over, and then it waits a while, usually around like a minute 20, minute 30 of silence, and then something would start happening.
I think Blink-182 did that, but there were 3 possible hidden tracks, even though it was just one album release, which drove me crazy at the time, because I was like, what do you mean I'm not hearing it all? And it's randomized. I can't just go buy 3 versions of it.
Oh, that's odd. So like randomized as in like you could buy that same CD at Dimple, and one of those CDs had a different bonus track on it?
Yeah, from my understanding. Yeah.
That's odd.
Yeah.
That's mean. Like,
Yeah,
as
right.
far as like going back to obsessive collectors, that would drive me batshit, because like I would want them all. Like, I would need to be a completist about that. And if there wasn't a way to know that that would make me more upset, I think, than intrigued.
Multiple versions of a CD makes me upset as it is. Like if Target has exclusive 2 tracks and then somewhere else has a different exclusive
Yeah.
track, it's like, why do that?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I honestly I think the whole concept of bonus tracks are kind of dumb. I think they're dumb in a physical sense. Like I think that if you have bonus tracks that you don't want to release just as a separate release like an EP,
Yeah.
which I think is the best option for any band to do. If you have bonus, like if you recorded too much for your album, that's a good problem to have.
Yeah.
Put out some smaller releases. Like there's no reason to just keep that all, or to do the other thing of like bonus tracks on a physical release. It's like at that point it's the album.
Yeah.
Why are you calling it a bonus track? It's you decided to put it on there. Like,
I mean, I guess
yeah.
like if you're wanting to like divide the experience, saying like, oh, this whole thing's the experience of the album, and then there's a few extras, but like no one's going to take it that way. They're going to listen to it all, or they're going to pick and
Yeah.
choose however they usually would.
In a physical release, absolutely. Like
Yeah.
that doesn't make any sense.
Unless
to
it's a record and you have to actually flip it to the B side, you know?
me. Yeah.
So, yeah, I'd say that's like one of the few things that digital music has improved, I think, is like releasing an EP doesn't like take as much work, and you can just put it out
Yeah.
there in between things, and it doesn't like change the like integrity of the album flow that you meant to release.
Oh yeah, I think EPs are an underrated format, and
Yeah.
not just in the digital age. I mean, going back to punk bands putting out 7-inch singles and or a 7-inch split with another band.
Oh.
My band put out a EP, a split EP with another local band years ago, and that was one of the most like fulfilled I'd ever been creatively. Of just like, no, you can actually put something out with another creator and like your audiences can mingle. Like it makes the most sense. But it's
Yeah.
going back to what you're saying, it's so much more feasible, and it's more bite-sized. Like you can just get it out faster. It doesn't have to be this massive undertaking of of putting together 12 tracks and
Yeah.
mastering those 12 tracks. Instead we put out 4 songs. Each band had 2 songs on it. That was beautiful. I
And
love
they're
it.
they're probably done by the time you finish the album, but you can wait to release them because you're giving your audience something, and then you can release this as though you've been making them. You haven't, they're already
Yeah.
done. And then when you release your actual next album, it just comes sooner than expected.
Oh yeah. Some of my favorite albums I own have promotional EPs that came out like in the lead up to those albums that I also have, and it's just like they're part of that story.
Yeah.
And a lot of times those EPs might have 1 or 2 tracks from the album,
Yeah.
but then a bunch of other B-sides that the band recorded at the same time, but they didn't quite work in the whole album context, and it's just good to give them their space. I don't know. Big fan of EPs.
They're good.
Yeah.
But the Digimon soundtrack,
Yes.
who knows what these hidden tracks really are? But
Yeah.
I started listening to some of it today, and I gotta say that Digimon rap, pretty good.
Do you act all right? So when you say the Digimon rap, because when I was going through the track listing, I did see that there's 2 different things, because there's like Digimon rap, and then there's
Oh,
Hey Digimon.
I'm thinking of Hey Digimon. Yeah,
Okay, so
because
and
it has a little bit of rap.
exactly, that has rap in it. I really don't like Hey Digimon.
Oh,
Like,
really?
I really don't. And I wasn't sure if that's what you were referring to, and maybe you were referring to the other thing, because I don't recall what the Digimon rap sounds like. So jury's not out on that one. I might like that one because I don't remember it. So maybe that one's good. But the Hey Digimon rap, oh man, I really just don't like it all. I find it to be one of the few moments in the movie as well as the series, because if you recall, like they in the English dub of that, they had Hey Digimon for like the first like kind of the first story arc, really. I think through a lot of like the when they would go into like after they would digivolve to champion, I believe. I think that's when they would use the Hey Digimon
Yeah.
song thing. They would do that after the Digi-evolution was complete, and then the fight would start happening. And I think that was intentional from the American studios to undercut the tension and violence of it
That makes
to
sense.
make
Yeah,
it more
because it was
palatable.
too playful.
It's an insane tone shift
Yeah.
because the Digievolution sequence is all serious. Well, not serious, but like cool and
Yeah.
engaging with like the CG and all that, and it's the kind of serious orchestration score that's under that I think is happening during that. And then you come right out of that into hey Digimon, and then like as they're fighting and stuff, and it's just silly. Suddenly it's silly, and
Yeah.
it like I feel like you get whiplash from that tone shift. So that soured me, and then on top of all of that, I feel like that just plays into, for me at least, the a certain aspect of kind of handling the show with kids gloves, basically. And I know that's ironic because it's a kids show, like, so I guess they should be dealing with kids gloves, but
But like
it felt
not
like
respecting the kids'
not
intelligence
respecting. It
or their
felt
ability to
very,
comprehend.
absolutely, thank you for summing it up a lot more concisely, because it felt like, okay, now this is a kids show.
Mm-hmm.
You little fuckers like this, right? You like silly little songs, because that's what we're gonna give you. You're gonna get a silly little song now, and
I
it's like,
I see what you mean. Given the context, the Hey Digimon in the movie, yeah, can be pretty much of a problem of like disruption. What about it itself though? Like,
in
do you
itself,
have a way of detaching it from the movie and just processing the
yeah.
song
I've only done that once. I've only like
on a mountain?
listened to the song once. Exactly. And I only know I did that because when we were doing Must Love Digimon years ago, um, the first time like the song came up in the show, um, I like listened to it by itself just to like really know, like, all right, what's going on here. And I didn't enjoy it in that way either,
Okay.
but I did enjoy it more. Like I found myself less aggravated by it, removed from the context. Like if I was just given that song of just like, hey, someone wrote a song about Digimon,
Yeah,
I'd be like, all right, it's fine. It's cute and it's fine. It feels, maybe this would make more sense too. It feels like it was misplaced for that Digimon necessary, or that Digimon story. If you had instead put that song into like a one-off, or not even one-off, but like just a um more of something it's geared directly just towards kids, as like a short film before the Digimon movie. Like if instead of Amanda Anaconda or whatever her horrible name is, if instead of that before the Digimon movie, if they
mm-hmm.
just had a fun Digimon short
Yeah.
that like took place at like a baby Digimon village or something.
You mean what Pokemon used to do on their movies?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. If Digimon took that cue and did that, and this song was put in that kind of a short, I would have loved it. I think I would have actually enjoyed that sort of context with it, because I feel like in a short film, you're just kind of playing with the form, and
Yeah.
you're playing with like the setting that you're in, and you don't need it to be, you don't need it to carry the weight of the drama that you're trying to accomplish in the actual story.
Yeah,
If
it's
that
just
makes
kind of
sense.
getting you like, oh, I'm watching Digimon now. You know?
Exactly. Yeah. Hang out in this world for a little bit,
Yeah.
And I think the song would have been better in something like that.
I think something about the song and the flow of the movie is that the movie, because it's kind of like three movies or two movies all in one, there are points where they kind of readjust and show new characters or show new settings, and it's like calm, and it's like a good song for that, but they didn't use it then really, and they have so many similar vibe songs that they do use for that, and
Yeah.
it's just too much of the same thing. Because Hey Digimon like has a heavy like similarity to All Star by Smash Mouth, which is on that
Yeah.
soundtrack. Like it's the same
Hmm.
vibe, and I don't know. I feel like yeah, in the flow of it, they don't need both, and then they go one further, and um, I don't know. Kids in America is kind of like that, but it pulls it off. I think it's like fun and
I
bubbly, but
love that.
yeah,
I thought that even where it's put in the movie is great. Like I just no notes there. Like
yeah.
Kids in America, that makes sense to me.
It works because even though it's in the middle of like the big hype fight, it's like the celebration because they know victory is at hand, even though it's still
Yeah.
going, just because of all the encouragement they just got, right? That's like when they just got all the emails and stuff. Yeah, so like the cheery bubbliness like works because now you need that tone shift. You're showing the victory, but yeah, starting off a fight with just like, "Hey, Digimon," is not good.
No, it just doesn't work. And also, I mean, going back to All Star, if you have All Star on your soundtrack, you're done. You don't
Yeah.
need an All Star sound alike. It is the gold standard of that tone. Like whatever that tone is, whatever you want to call it, Smash Mouth All Star nailed it with that. You could just move on.
Yeah, I was trying to look if there's other Digimon songs. I don't think so. I think "Hey Digimon" and the Digimon rap, and the rap was like the
Pretty
intro
sure.
to the movie, I think.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
actually think I like that. Now that I'm remembering, I'm pretty sure I like the actual Digimon rap. But
Can you bust it down right now?
I don't have it at my disposal. I just seem to recall enjoying it.
All right. Next episode, we'll have you do the
Next,
full
yeah, that'll
Digi
be
rap,
another.
and then I'll
Yes.
do the poker rap.
That would be fun. Let's do. I want to do this. Actually, we could.
Oh,
The computer binding. I was gonna try to bring up the lyrics and do a dramatic reading, but maybe that could be a fun like promo thing. We
oh
could just like
yeah.
shoot like a one-off sort of thing that we can use to promote
Yeah.
the show.
I mean, and this is on YouTube. We
TikTok
can
or something, right?
Yeah, TikTok. We have the Stab YouTube where people watch this. Apparently, I'm always like blown away when I see my shows on YouTube on Stab like get numbers. I don't know why. It's just because like I don't know. I don't think of these shows as like YouTube content, but they're just there for archive. And some people are
Yeah.
like, no, that's how I mainly consume it. I'm like, okay. Well, I'm glad I started doing thumbnails then.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure it all makes a difference as far as how people can see it and like know that it exists. So.
Yeah. So do you have a favorite song from the soundtrack that you can remember? Something that like just really hit?
I mean, just going through the track listing earlier today, I don't recall even where it lands in the soundtrack or where it lands in the film. But without question, my favorite song, just as a song on its own in the soundtrack, is "One Week." Bare Naked Ladies. It's an incredible song,
Yeah.
incredible band. I love BNL. They're fantastic. And I love that they're in the soundtrack. It's wonderful. I think they have a couple songs on that actually. I think there's a second Bare Naked Ladies song. What am I?
No.
I barely
It's-
glanced at it.
It's just like a lot of like popular bands like that at the time. You've got Smash Mouth, Fatboy Slim, Bare Naked Ladies, and I think those are the main ones. They're like America pop during that time that the movie came out.
Yeah.
Wait, was Paul Gordon?
There's
pretty
like
big
Less
then?
Than Jake. I think Less Than Jake is on the soundtrack.
Yeah. I've never
Yeah.
heard of Less Than Jake besides this.
Oh, okay, gotcha. I mean, I couldn't even tell you one of their songs, but in that same kind of world of bands, I guess, yeah, of that era, they were pretty big, and still are to people who like that specific kind of. I think they're pop punk. I think Less Than Jake is pop punk. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's called All My Best Friends Are Metalhead, so probably pop punk, I'd say.
That sounds like a pop punk song.
Yeah, totally. Man, I think mine's Kids in America. That song was just so
Great
good.
song.
Yeah.
It's a great song. Yeah.
Bold to put it on there when our main protagonists are in, I believe, Japan.
Yeah.
Um,
and also the isn't part of that because it's everyone emailing and stuff. It's kids from like all over the world, right?
yeah,
So
but it's
not
for the kids in
America.
America.
Yeah, but the lyric is "We're the kids in America."
Oh yeah, that's right. We're the kids in America.
But
Um,
it doesn't matter because it's that good of a song, and it's just the tone of it works so well.
and I think it's by the same band. I don't see it on the soundtrack here, but I don't know why I have it so tied to Digimon. Maybe it was the show or a movie that was a different one. But like 99 red balloons, Luft balloons.
No, so that's not the Muffs. That's uh, why did I just blank on her name? She's German.
Yeah, it's a German song. Well, oh, okay. So nine or Kids in America, at least on the Digimon soundtrack, is performed by Len, which is a
Oh,
Canadian band.
oh, it's a different version of it. Okay, I thought it was the other one. Okay, cool. I don't recall that.
Yeah.
Neat.
But yeah, well, why am I
I'll check that out.
associating 99 balloons with Digimon? Was that like in the series like end?
I don't think so.
Hmm.
I have a hard time believing that they would be able to afford that for TV.
Yeah, that's a
Like
good
the
point.
movie was different because like that was the studio and like I bet that pretty much all of those acts were on the label.
Yeah.
So they were probably already it was just like cross promotion. Um but yeah, I don't think
Hmm.
99 Red Balloons love that song though. Great
Well, if
song.
anyone knows, let me know because it will drive
Nina
me
Hagen?
crazy.
It's gonna drive me nuts not knowing. I It's the tip of my tongue too.
Yeah, I'll have to see like everywhere it's ever used.
There's a really great. I'm not usually that impressed by mashups. I came around to them a little bit later because Jacqueline showed me some really good mashups. But one mashup I was always impressed by was someone did 99 Problems, Jay Z, with 99 Red Balloons, and
That's
it's
cool.
really good. It is really good.
Um, is there like any Digimon related song that isn't like from the movie that you like?
It's Digimon related.
I mean, it doesn't even have to be official. Maybe young
Sure.
little
Something that
Behringer.
I associate with.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a
Maybe
good
you saw an
question. Okay.
AMV, you know? Someone
Yeah.
like drew Agumon all sad in like MS Paint and played Wake Me Up.
um, no, I don't know. I probably associate a lot of trying to think of like music I was listening to around that time that I was like probably the heaviest into Digimon. So that
Yeah.
would have been like middle school, maybe around there. So yeah, probably the stuff I associate the most with it is probably be a lot of Pink Floyd. I was listening to a lot of Floyd at the time.
Yeah.
Um,
Some Digifloyd.
some Digi Floyd. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think of other sort of things I associate with. No, I nothing comes to mind as like a direct like song for song kind of thing. It's more of like when I think of music with Digimon, I more think of the um like the score
Yeah.
soundtrack like of the show. Like that's what comes to mind the most. Um and then just like the theme song itself. I mean, really that's a conversation to be had. I
Yeah.
mean, like the Digimon theme song is just it's a force of nature. Like I I don't know how something can be so perfect for I'm a broken record tonight with tone, but like when you're talking about music with any kind of like visual media, tone is everything. I mean tone like with how you match those two. And I think that the Digimon theme as we know it for the English dub um, is so perfectly matched to how they establish the tone of that show. It is exciting, but it's also fun.
Yeah.
Like it's it's so youthful. Like, it feels like a like this is like here's a way to put it. For when something is for kids, but in a cool way. It's like, yeah, this is for kids and I'm a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what that song sounds like. It doesn't sound like some stuffy grown up thinking that that's what kids want. It just happens to be exactly what kids want.
It's
Like it works.
it's
Yeah.
one of the rare times where adults made something to be cool for kids, and it just
Yeah.
was. Um,
Yeah.
because a lot
Cool.
of times when
Coolness.
like
That
something,
is important.
yeah, um, and what baffles me is it sounds like a first draft. You know, like they're like,
Yeah.
what should we do for a theme song? They're like, how about Digimon, digital monsters? Digimon are the
But what
champion.
are they? What are they? They're the champions.
Yeah, it's like, how, and like I can't make fun of it because even I still listen to it and I don't think it's cringy. Like it's not something I'll just
No.
listen to when I'm enjoying music, but like I don't think it's bad and it sets the tone and it's cool for kids. Like
Yeah.
it's just so weird. I can't imagine it ever happening again. Just something so simple, so just
Yeah.
on the spot and just working in every way.
And I think this is a great place to take it back to Pokemon here, or I should say, switch it to Pokemon here, because we really haven't touched on Pokemon at all today. But I this is not a hot take by any means. The original Pokemon theme is a banger. It's a fantastic song. I love that song so much. I think so. I do. I think it's cheesier for sure.
Oh yeah,
It's much cheesier, but I think that if you appreciate it for the time that it came out in, like I don't think it was cheesy in 1990 or something.
yeah. It was more like along the
It felt
times.
pretty contemporary. Like I don't remember thinking like that it felt like a parents thing or like
Yeah,
an old thing, because I watched plenty of like grown up TV at that time. So I was familiar without even having the vocabulary for it. I was familiar with what those shows sounded like. To me, they sounded like um, Matlock. They sounded like Star Trek: The Next Generation. Like that to me is like, a grown up show with
yeah.
grown up tones. So it still felt like, a youthful kid show, but it just had that just gnarly electric guitar, like just like I don't know. I think it's a solid. What's your take on that? Do you not
I
enjoy the original Pokemon theme?
no, I never did, and I'm trying to
Never
think
did.
why. And I doubt my little baby milk brain came to this conclusion, but I wonder if it's because it's more about like the trainers and the adventure than actual Pokemon
Oh
themselves.
yeah,
And
that's a great point.
yeah, and I never liked the Pokemon show that much. Like I would watch it cuz it was the best representation of Pokemon and I was all about the monsters, you know.
Yeah,
Um but like I didn't care for Ash or Misty or Brock that much. I mean, I did like find some enjoyment in it, but I think even then I was still critical, you know, like I would have and still would just love like nature docs about Pokemon.
yes, yeah. Let's just watch them mingle with each
Yeah,
other.
give us
Like,
science
yeah,
facts and let them mingle. They've kind
yeah,
of experimented with that, and I'm so for it.
yeah. Like in the show, or like in extra media that they put
Extra.
online, or okay.
So, for before the eighth generation games came out, one of the things they did was a 24-hour live stream, and it was like a pre-rendered video, and it was kind of bullshit because people had to stay up like 24 hours to try to see if anything happened, especially people whose like career is Pokemon reporting, like
Oh
Joe
sure,
Maverick.
yeah,
Um, and it wasn't till the very end where you see Galarian Ponyta like just dash across the screen real quick, and that was it. Um, and it was like okay, but then for this newer game, instead what they did was they this newer game and the one before it with Legends Arceus, they like released a teaser of like found footage or something or photographs, and then they released the full thing, and it would span the course of 3 days, but the actual content was like consumable within 10 minutes.
Hmm.
And the last one was nature cam. So there's like 4 nature cams, and the scientist was just showing you what he found, even though he's recording 24/7. And you get
Yeah.
to see this like new Pokemon, which is like a lemur that like gets paint out of its mouth and like paints on trees and stuff. Um, and it like painted the camera. It's like a graffiti lemur. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. I've seen that
Oh,
Pokemon.
okay.
His tail is the paintbrush, right? Isn't
No,
it
you're
something like
you're
that?
you're
Or
thinking of Smeagol, a dog. There's a new one who's more like graffiti focused. It eats berries and creates like a poisonous paint, and then it sticks its finger in its mouth, and it finger paints, or it will like blow out spray paint.
I
Um,
like that. That's really cool.
well,
That's a cool design.
Another cool thing about it, and you only get it in its environment, is that it paints on trees. And the idea is it paints on trees. The scent of the berry attracts bugs, but the poison like kills them so it can eat them. But that's based off of the painted forest that is an actual thing on the Iberia Peninsula where the new games take place. So they made like a cultural art piece, a biological like process of something hunting for food. I'm like, that's so cool. That means like this Pokemon isn't just an animal that paints. It happens to paint, but that's just because that's how it gathers food and marks
Yeah,
territory.
that's really cool. So how did it tie back to like the so people just graffiti a lot on that peninsula? Is that what the connection was? Or
No, so
like
it's not
I missed the
graffiti.
connection there
It
for the real life thing.
In real life, it's not so much graffiti. In real life, they just paint rings on these trees. It's like a not like along the ring of the tree, but on the flat. They
Uh-huh.
paint rings of like multiple colors, and this Pokemon does the same thing when hunting. And they kind of
Oh,
gave
okay.
it just a spray paint vibe to kind of match like the
Mhm.
edginess of the lemur, and they like kind of made so it's tough of like fur, looks like it has a hood on. Or
Gotcha.
I shouldn't say lemur. It's actually an eye. Are you familiar with an eye?
Yeah,
Yeah, they've
yeah,
got the
yeah.
crazy long finger. Yeah,
Hmm.
and so that's the finger it's using to paint with, is its really long creepy finger.
Yes, it is extremely creepy in real life. But why do they paint on the trees in real life? I missed that part. Why do
Uh
they do that? Is that just cultural? Just like it's
some
something they
culture
do?
thing. I can't
Oh, that's
remember
cool.
entirely. I think it's mostly just an art display. But yeah, it's a
That's cool
big
in itself.
thing.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But yeah, so they've been using like these little like ways to announce stuff mostly that are like nature docs. I love that.
Oh, I had a question about that as well,
Yeah.
actually, before I got so overwhelmed by how cool that monkey thing is. Um, what do these things look like as far as the nature things? Like, how is that rendered? Like,
Oh,
does it look like live action? Like, do you get what I'm
yeah,
asking?
it's still CG, but pretty good, I'd say. Better than the games. It's like kind of the ideal of CG for it. It's not trying to be realistic, but it's not too stylized either.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, very very good balance. Kind of like if you saw the original like Pokemon. Well, no, that's I was gonna say Pokemon Go commercials, but that's not what they are. I don't know. Yeah, just good CG. um,
Yeah, I'm into it.
yeah,
That's cool.
just cutscenes. They're good. And what the another one that came out was this girl going for a walk trying to find like ghost Pokemon, and she's all scared, and she sees this candle on the ground, and she's like, what's up with that? And she goes to it, and then it's a friendly little ghost dog. And as she's like playing with it, she like gets really tired and falls asleep. And then when the game comes out, you catch one and you read its Pokedex entry, and it says it steals people's energy by playing with them and their life force. So she's dead, probably.
That's bonkers.
Yes. And
Why would they do that?
and this dog, it's the kind of dog from like who's that evil villain dog that's like, from the racing show.
I just need you to know how vague that description was. Who's
Okay,
that evil dog that goes?
how many evil dogs are there? It
I think
was,
probably.
I think Cartoon Network. It was a show about racing, and that's
Oh,
and his sidekick was an evil dog.
yeah, that
Shidozi, you're a
this
Pokemon fan in chat. Who's the dog I'm thinking of?
that's gonna drive me nuts though, because I can almost picture what you're describing. Like now that you said it's like a Cartoon Network thing,
Yeah,
and it's a
but
racing thing.
it's those dogs with like pretty shaggy, like coarse hair, like the rope hair. Do you know what I'm talking about? I don't
Yeah,
know
like
dogs.
yeah, yeah. I know the ones you're talking about. Well,
Okay.
there's a couple different kinds of dogs, but like that could
Yeah.
fit that description. But I think I know the one you're talking
But
about.
yeah, cute little playful dog that steals your life by just running around and playing with you.
I mean, if you gotta go, that's a way to go.
Right?
Honestly, like if
Yeah.
I could choose, that'd be up there.
You know, who's to say? Maybe it showed restraint and she just took a nap. I mean, it's got to feed, right?
That's true. So, are there examples of music in Pokemon that you do like?
Yes. So the thing is Pokemon soundtracks have always been notorious for like being really good. Like everyone always like just raves over soundtracks from the games, which is surprising because you've heard me numerous times talk about how the games are very lackluster as the years went on and disappoint in many ways, but music is never one of them. That said, most of my life I played these games on mute because I needed to.
Same. I've almost never played the game with sound.
Yeah, so I didn't know this for a long time, and then more recently I got to play them with the sound on, and yeah, they are bangers. I'm someone who listens to kind of like background music just anyways. Um, even if it's not background for me, and I'm just sitting there like looking at my screen with the music on there. I like
Background.
that. Yeah, I
Yeah.
like that kind. But also, the newest game or the newest two games has music done by Toby Fox, who's a pretty stellar composer. He did most, if not all, the music for a game called Undertale, which he mostly
Oh,
made. Yeah, his song Megalovania has become like a huge thing. Like there's been orchestra concerts of it and everything.
it's really
And
cool.
yeah, and so to see like such a well-known like indie American musician like do some of the music for the games was super cool. And yeah, they're bangers. They have a really good way of sometimes taking like the same song and remixing it in the game later on to like just build the hype more. And I don't know, for it's a turn-based game, so sometimes like the gameplay is actually slow, but this music, they know how to implement it right so it doesn't feel slow, and they do a pretty good job at giving unique fights their own music. Like, okay, well, this is the Elite Four's music, but then here's the champion and it's its own song, and here's this scene and it's its own song, and then like every city has its own background song. And there's just this like really good what is it called, an overture, like a blending of it all for a game, but then separates, like each individually stands out. The,
Nice.
yeah, it's pretty good, and y'all should check it out.
You
And
have me like curious now to like just I'm gonna go on YouTube and just look up some soundtracks, especially of the ones that I wouldn't have ever played, because
yeah,
those will be completely fresh to me. So
uh, so one big thing was the Gen 3 games were on the Game Boy Advance, and somehow they're like, we're dealing with a little chip tune. Let's try to do trumpets anyways. And it's like, the fuck? Like, you're trying to do real instruments on a little thing that's like less quality than a Tooth Tunes.
yeah,
And it works. Like, I usually am not the most into like 8-bit music. Well, I
I
can't
get
say that.
bored of it. I
What?
get a little bored. I get a little bored of it. That's kind
Yeah.
of where I'm at when it comes to 8-bit stuff. Like I can appreciate it if I'm doing something that is with an 8-bit thing. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Like,
if you're in the context for it, but there was
yeah,
kind of that thing that probably still exists of like, 8-bit bands and
yeah.
stuff who would like have the setup through their Game Boy, and just, I get a little bored of it at that point. Like when it becomes your whole thing. I don't know.
Now,
I don't know if that's a hot take,
no,
but
I don't think so. But good implementation of it is stab comedy theater, and I'm
oh,
being
absolutely.
genuine.
I like
So
those. Yeah, I like
what's
that.
really cool is Jesse, and I didn't know this was intentional, but Jesse does all the pre-show as like 8-bit covers usually, sometimes other kinds of
Mhm.
covers. But the reason he does that is because there's no lyrics, and so it makes people look to their neighbor and go, "Oh, is this what song is this?" And
Yeah,
they talk, and but it's a conversation you can shut down as soon as the show is ready. It's like that's so clever to keep
it
like a
is really.
transition. Uh,
And it what I've always enjoyed about the stab pre-show stuff is it allows people to get a win. Like
yeah,
what
yeah,
I mean by that is like it is satisfying for anyone to be like, "What's this? Oh, that's uh Scrubs."
yeah,
Like, just like that's Great Gig in the Sky. Like
yeah.
they
Oh, it's
you're
Crazy
giving
Train.
exactly, you're giving them a win.
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, it's
It's
satisfying.
smart.
But the
Yeah.
point being is that I would never really like listen to background 8-bit,
Yeah.
but I
Yeah.
will listen to that third gen soundtrack. And then when they remade it for the remakes of the third generation, like I remember as soon as they announced Alpha Ruby and Omega Sapphire, or is that backwards? I don't know. But like the internet was flooded with trumpet memes, and we were all so excited because one, that's some of the best games, and two, just like the soundtrack on something that's not a little 8-bit was so exciting, and it was so good, and the soundtracks are just getting better for the games. The show, I was never too into any of the music, even the score. Like it just had this too bubbliness of it, I guess.
I have no real recollection of what the score even sounded
Yeah,
like. I would assume that it's that. Like that would have been my assumption is that it's probably pretty lighthearted.
it was just a
It probably
little.
doesn't get too dramatic.
Yeah, it got a little. It had a little too much going on. I feel at times, but
Mm.
the new show balances it out. But the new show has a new like polka rap at the end, and it's actually really good. Like I just really
Oh yeah.
like it. Um,
Nice.
the original polka rap's very nostalgic, but this new one is really good. So another banger. So yeah, I'm not like super into all the other extra Pokemon music. Like they've gotten Katy Perry, Post Malone, and some other artists to do like, or not Post Malone. Oh, maybe Post Malone,
I
but
think I think I saw like
yeah,
some promo thing with him and Pikachu.
that's right.
Like
Yeah,
so I'm pretty sure there is a Post Malone thing.
yeah,
I don't know what it sounds like.
he was the
Probably
newest
bad.
one. Ed Sheeran did one.
Oh yeah.
And I don't really listen to any of those three anyways, but I just couldn't get into the songs they did. I'm like, yeah, okay.
Not for me. Yeah.
Yeah, not bad though. Like it didn't seem too cheesy from the one listen I gave it. But yeah, I'm glad that the games still just absolutely nail it. And Detective Pikachu, the movie, also nailed it. I think.
I really enjoyed Detective Pikachu. I
Yeah,
only saw it once, but I enjoyed it.
yeah, good
And
job
and
there.
I don't remember the soundtrack, but I feel like it fit.
Sometimes
It
that's
was
the
an
best though.
exciting sort of.
You know?
That's really like truly like the soundtracks that you don't notice, those are probably the most effective.
Yeah, because you're
Because if
noticing
you yeah,
the tone, the energy they
mhm,
set. You know.
mhm,
Um,
absolutely.
yeah, I mean, if you watch it multiple times, then you start to pick up on that stuff. But
Yeah.
but yeah,
You're one of those dorks that watches things multiple times.
yeah. Do you watch movies over and over a lot?
I used to. I really used to. I don't anymore, and I wonder if that's just like a symptom of getting older. Is you're like, I don't have time. Like I don't have time in my life.
Yeah,
More so, like the broader thing of like, I could be like I have so little free time Like, if I have that time, do I really need to watch Glenn Ross again? Like, I've seen it probably 5 times in my life. That's enough. But when I was a kid, like, absolutely, like, come home from school, like, I would just, I had basically the collection of things that were just in the rotation. A lot of concert films
Yeah.
and comedy stuff. I probably watched like Robin Williams live on Broadway like for months straight. Just like it was part of the routine. It
Yeah.
was just like, all right, now I put that on and I'll read comics or something while that's in the background. I just would watch the same shit over and over and over again. And not as much now. Now it's more of a conscious effort to rewatch of like me and Jacqueline will be like, I think it's time to do King of the Hill again.
Yeah.
And then we will rewatch King of the Hill, among other stuff, you know.
I wonder if, now this might be getting a little too big, but as a kid, you don't really have much control in your life, and also you're constantly growing up. So things change a lot of the time. And so to have something that's just consistent and absolutely can't change because it's pre-recorded media, it's a comfort. But as an adult, there's so many parts of our life that are stagnant that just sit there, and it's like we don't need comfort routine because we have it in so many other areas. Maybe.
I think that you're probably onto something there, and I think a way to kind of determine that more would be I'm curious of how much today's youth, like the younger generation, like I wonder how much they rewatch things, if at all. Because I think another factor in that for us when we were younger, if we were watching stuff, is we didn't have the internet to the same extent as far as like streaming platforms and everything. So we had what we had.
Yeah.
Like, so that's part of why we were rewatching stuff too.
And there's just less, whatever you're interested in, there was less of. Like, I was interested in Pokemon. I could only watch what was made. Now I can watch Pokemon. I could watch people who make content about Pokemon.
Watch this stupid show.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
And I'm serious. Like, this is a thing that would not have existed then. So it provides more, I think, more reasons not to rewatch.
Yeah. Why rewatch the movie and try to like think about it when you can listen to us talk about it and be like, oh, this is like engaging with friends, like a different version of watching it, even if it's not on. So
yeah, watch me pretend to have thought about it and then regurgitate an opinion that sounds like it might hold water.
Well, when it comes to Pokemon and thought, it's getting about that time where I'd like to know what one you have positive thoughts for.
I have extremely positive thoughts about a Pokemon I just learned about this evening. Don't even remember the name of this little fella, but I want to see the art monkey thing.
You know what?
The one with the long finger. Long finger. Yeah. I want to see that fella up on the old screen. So that's my pick. I know usually in this portion we'll talk a little bit more about the Pokemon, but I feel like we covered him pretty well earlier in the up. I just knew as we were talking about it, I was like, that's my pick. I want that guy up there.
I gotta remember his name. It's what's this little dude's name? Yeah, we got the fun facts about him. I don't remember its
sound
name.
off in the Twitch stream.
Yeah.
Call to action.
I'm definitely not. Oh, I just found it and I accidentally hit an ad. Grafai. That's it. I beat you, chat. Better luck next time. Yeah. Like graffiti, Grafai.
Not a great name, I'll be honest.
No?
I don't think it's a great name. Well, I think it's just lacking a little. I feel like the I, like Grafai, like, I don't know. Oh, they're originally called I. What's the animal it's based off of?
An I.
All right, so I guess it makes sense, but I just don't like that name. I think maybe that's where my problem is. It's not with the Pokemon, it's with whoever named the animal. Because I don't care for the I part of it.
You're going further into the past, the real life animal.
I'm not blaming Pokemon for this one, but it becomes even worse, I think, when you have Griffai. Like it needs another syllable. I feel
Yeah.
like it just needs something to break it up, but still a big fan of the concept, and I'm happy it exists. What's
Something.
a Digimon you like?
Oh, okay. So I pulled one up. I was prepared for this. I've got it here on my iPad. And I went through some various digging to get to this point. And I learned about prototype Digimon, like Digimon that were made in the early days canonically of Digimon, and they have little interfaces on their head. And one of those is Dorumon. It's like a purple standing fox dinosaur. And I remember seeing it in so many different media, but like in the ads and the like promos for it, and then never like actually catching it or watching those all the way through. So I never learned about it until today. And I was like, oh, that's cool. And it's like they did experiments forcing it to digivolve, even when it was like dead. I'm like, what? I'm sorry, what?
Yeah.
And
What generation was this? Like, where along the timeline for Digimon is this?
I want to say I first saw it in the intro cinematic for Digimon World 3.
Oh, okay.
And I think you get to play as it in Digimon World 4, which drastically less popular than 3.
I never even played 4.
Yeah, it was strange. It was like a hack and slash kind of thing, and you could play with up to 4 people on one screen.
That sounds pretty fun.
It was fun, very different.
I'm into that because I love stuff like Gauntlet. Like I have
Yeah,
such
it was
fond
Gauntlet.
memories
Yeah,
of that. So yeah,
Digimon Gauntlet.
Really fun.
Maybe we'll try to hack that onto stream somehow.
Yes, I would be all about that.
But so Dorumon has some evolutions and some wacky evolutions. And sometimes when I find a Digimon that I'm like, this is just so gosh darn weird, I just go, I'm like, what's the most powerful version of it?
Yes, I love jumping to that.
Yeah, and a lot of times it's like, well, do you want good or evil? And golly, did they go hard on the evil version? Because the good one's cool. Its wings are kind of like a mix of like gothic architecture with stained glass windows and swords. But the evil one is cooler. And Corey, how many wings do you think a Digimon could have?
How many could it have?
Could.
Not should.
Yeah, not should.
Yeah,
but
not should.
How many wings can you fit on that little bastard?
I'm going to say, okay, that's another part of this. Like, how large of a Digimon are we talking about here? Like, is this kind of humanoid?
Humanoid.
Like, what is it's humanoid? All right. I'm going to say that you can have up to 20?
Oh, maybe. This only has 16.
16. All right. I feel like I could fit 20 wings on someone.
So, it's got like 2 arching like main wing stems, and from that there are 4 bat wings and 4 red angel wings on each, alternating, and the bat wings also have little robot claws that hold them onto something on its back. And then you know where like bats would have their claws on their wings? This has serrated knives, okay? And then you come down to its
They're
body.
serrated?
Yes, serrated shark
Just in case there's
knives.
bread. In case there's a bread loaf.
Yeah.
He's going to be ready for this. He's not just going to, fuck up the loaf. He's going to make a nice, clean cut.
Yeah.
Serrated blades.
And then it's your humanoid body. He's got like bright purple armor with yellow highlights. So what? Go Kings. And then he's got just too many belts all over him. Every part of his skin's covered in belts.
You didn't even need to tell me that. I was already picturing too many belts.
His eyes are lightning bolts, but like made out of metal. So it's not like oozing lightning. They're just like static lightning objects that go super far off.
Like big ass sunglasses? Are they just like slapped
like,
on top?
Yeah.
Just lightning bolts.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Into it. I'm into it.
His
He hasn't lost me yet.
his
This Digimon
knees
is still in my heart. I love this fella.
his knees have claws. The talons on his hands and feet have thorns. Like it's a talon and then it has two thorns on each side of every talon.
This is the most designed.
His arms have like gauntlets that end up in just a wedge. Like not even a blade, but like a cheese wedge almost, but made out of metal. And then he has a tail. And it's a ghost tail, but the ghost part of it is covered in real belts, not ghost belts.
More belts. There's this might be my favorite Digimon.
I was like, this might be the coolest Digimon. Like,
this is the most Digimon.
Yes.
I think that's what that is. It's the most of what we have come to love about Digimon design.
the tail ends in some type of gyroscope. So, folks, stay tuned because next time the show's on, you'll get to see a little sticker of that guy probably right there.
That's wonderful. Oh my god.
Oh, I did get to the name.
Yeah. Yes.
Do you want to take a guess, just real quick?
No, I couldn't even hazard a guess.
You couldn't, because this thing's name is Death hyphen X hyphen in all caps Doru Goruramon.
Oh, so he's got a little of a Garuru in him.
Yeah, and so Doru is an acronym for, or it's a portmanteau for Digimon or undefined monster.
Oh, that's kind of cool. I mean, it's also weirdly vague because I feel like the minute it's Digimon, you've identified it.
Yeah,
it's a Digimon.
Pokemon and Digimon have both done this where they're like, well, they're not quite the monsters we make.
Oh, sure.
Because Digimon has Neo. It's like, it's not quite a Digimon. Our technology can't identify it. And then Pokemon has Ultra Beasts, which they're like, they're not quite Pokemon, but mechanically, don't worry, they're exactly the same. But yeah, that's my nutty Digimon that I found through the wormhole today. And yeah, the most Digimon. Or not. Who knows?
Yeah. I feel blessed to know that this exists. So thank you for that. And thank you all for tuning in to another Digipod Pokécast show. The show where two people talk about Digimon and Pokemon.
But it could be a lot more people. If y'all start coming chat, hanging out with us, you can tweet at the Stab social media, Stab Comedy on Instagram or Twitter, or look at the thing right there. You can see our social media handles, Milkmouth and Cory Behringer.
Swear to God, we'll be better if there's people.
Yeah, let us bounce off you. Tell us the things you love and hate about Digimon, or what you want to hear us talk about of these respective monsters. I have a list I've carved into my wall of various topics, but we can always use more.
Oh, yes. Well, this was a hoot and a half. I hope you all have a wonderful night.